Part 1 of our trip to London covered the sail down the River Deben. Part 2 covers the trip across the Thames estuary. When you see a map of the Thames estuary, it shows blue from coast to coast and looks as though you can sail anywhere. The truth is very different, and thousands of wrecks attest to the treachery of the sandbars. It is similar in a way when I sailed across Biscayne Bay, Florida in 2013. All that blue on a map is so different to a chart.
A rough tower just off the bows of that ship.
We crossed the Deben bar at about half ebb and headed east by south with the rough tower on the horizon.
Well off Felixstowe now. Roughly where we've come from. Autopilot doing its job at last.
The tide had turned once we neared the sunk head tower, North Cardinal Whistleboy, guarding the sunk sand.
September to 1200 UTC, Wednesday the 9th of September 2015. General situation. High pressure over the United Kingdom will gradually drift away northeastwards, allowing an easterly or southeasterly airflow to develop during the next day or so. Gibraltar Point to North Holland, 24-hour forecast. Northeasterly, 3 or 4. Veering easterly, 4 or 5 later.
And turn southwest into the Black Deep, with the sunk sand to starboard and the long sand to port. Not a lot of wind from aft, so we kept the 12 horsepower Yanmar engine going.
Black Deep number 5. There's the dredger that overtook us. And we're still going past the wind farm. Taking us an hour to get past there.
Well, there's a good old tide sluicing down here.
Yeah, we've got the tide going with us now.
A little later the VHF sprang to life. Mayday, Mayday, Mayday! A yacht sailing south from Brightlingsea had lost her rudder and the skipper was injured trying to recover it. We listened as Thames Coast Guard handled the call and later advised the stricken yachtsman that the Margate lifeboat was on her way. The yacht's position was the other side of the sunk sand, about 7 miles from us. So for the first time in my life I responded to a mayday, advising Thames Coast Guard of our position, about 80 minutes steaming away, and offered help. The Coast Guard thanked us, but the lifeboat was soon to be on its way, and would we stand by on Channel 16.
Over on the Barrow, which is over there. That's the Barrow Beacon. So I don't quite know where he is, but he was going from Brightlingsea to North Foreland, so he probably tried to cut across a swatchway and caught his rudder, snapped his rudder off. What's ironic is I lost my rudder going to the Swale, not far from here. Well, we didn't have a radio, so we ended up sailing without a rudder to Faversham.
About an hour later we saw the lifeboat pass astern of us and later listened as she towed the yacht to Burnham. Exciting stuff.
I reckon the guy who lost his rudder is somewhere over there, support of the Knock John Tower. We're leaving the Shivering Sand towers to starboard and from that wind farm to port, going through the gap. The entrance to the Swale is somewhere down there.
Shivering Sands towers were built in 1943 as anti-aircraft gun platforms in World War II and were abandoned in 1958. 6 years later, Screaming Lord Such set up a pirate radio station called Radio Such, but he soon got bored. Some say that on still nights the ghosts of pop records can still be heard.
Kentish Flats wind farm, one of the very early ones. Turbines are so small by comparison with the modern day ones. So around here we can hang a left.
Might be a life boat, yacht satisfaction, channel 67, over. Lifeboat yacht satisfaction, we're fine at the moment. The speed is okay at the minute. Leave it to that for a short while, and I'll see if it's worth trying to go a bit faster.
After the long sand stopped, we wanted to hang a left to make for the entrance to the Swale, but somebody had put a wind farm in the way, so we had to go miles out of our way to get round it, and then punch the tide to get back on course. At last we were over the Kentish Flats, with the port of Whitstable appearing and vanishing in the rain, then taking the flood up the Swale as the sun dipped behind storm clouds.
Isle of Sheppey, Sheerness in the distance. These are the Kentish Flats, pretty shallow there. Right, we're in the Swale. There's Hearty Ferry over there, and the moorings off the entrance to Faversham Creek. So we're in the Swale. We've lost the swell from the North Sea. It's nice and smooth now. But it looks like some weather over there. We've been lucky so far today. Just had a few spots. A ripping tide. Sand End. Seals laid up for the night.
A porpoise surfaced alongside, and seals watched us pass as we picked up a buoy in the smooth water near Hearty Ferry to spend the night.